Alrighty, so as we know, last week on the Nightingale, we had quite the explosive start when we decided to uh, rescue Dasan from a few of his Herodian, well, I think I will just say ex-allies. And as the Nightingale sped away and managed to bluff the Herodians into not attacking and allowing them to pick up Dasan and his crew. Couple other minor events happened, like the captain had humongous back surgery. Basically leaving her bedridden until she convalesces, and Kiana managed to um, miniaturize a I'm not 100% sure exactly what to call it, but we'll go with a, psionic emotional dampener, thus allowing Desesh's new toy to fit mostly inside of an earring as opposed. In addition to the earring, there's also one other wireless component, thank God, um, that can be just carried around in a pocket. And lastly, our lovable Jill had a crashing revelation, vision, instance, leaving her a bit confused and wobbly. And lastly, as I said, as we circle back to the captain's back surgery, um, we will start there as she is waking up, and as the light starts to seep into her eyes, you can see sitting beside the chair and sitting beside the bed is both Arif and Kasara.
Well, obviously I've died and gone to hell, she says, looking at a reef.
Uh, Chuckling a little bit, he um, gives a very slight, gentle smile as he says, "Nira, glad to see the operation has left you true to yourself." And as he is speaking, Kasara kind of jumps up and rushes to the side of the bed, saying, um, "Mom, mom,
I'm I'm fine, dear. It was just a bit of back surgery.
you couldn't wait for me?"
Well, the doctor's a bit impatient. Well, honestly, I think it's Napoleon syndrome, but or Napoleon complex. But uh, she goes to shrug and then winces and's like, "Well, that's going to be fine. Bit."
Uh, and as Arif starts to gently get up and walk to the bed, Kassar asks, what is?"
Uh, Well, you know, shrugging with a metal rod in your back. It's not exactly the most pleasant thing.
Um, as 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 Arif uh, kind of gets to the bed by this point and says, chuckles a little bit. He says, "Well, over the years, I've had fashion to get there once or twice myself, and well, I can't say that your mother is telling any sort of lie, Kassar."
Uh, Well, that's. Wait, she just kind of like, oh god, the painkillers are amazing.
Um, And looking to both of you, or to both of the women, Arif says, Kisara, why don't you check with the doctor and make sure it's okay? But I think you should be just fine to get your mother a glass of ice chips or a glass of water. I'm sure she's parched after this. And Nira, if you don't mind, I'll come back in a little bit later when you're a little bit more together. I'd like to speak with you.
Uh, Sure, fine. We can wait until the painkillers wear off. Right. Rules. There are rules. She points. You, no causing any trouble. She looks at Arif. And you, be nice to the Federation types. Be nice.
Uh, Looking quickly to Arif before looking back to you, Kasara nods and says, I will, Mom, as she rushes from your field of view. And as Arif looks down, he says, why don't why don't you just close your eyes, Captain Nira, and Kasara will be back with your drink, and when you wake up, it'll be time to make use of that drink. He says, kind of just stumbles off, looking a little concerned.
Yes, sure.
And
He starts snoring.
and as the captain heads out, uh, we're actually going to stay with Arif as uh, really quickly. Actually, I know Dr. Vanderveer, you need a couple minutes, so I will circle back to you. Um, but as Arif kind of walks out of the hall, he questioningly asks the computer the location of Dr. Hakuri. And where pray tell, let's say this is about, you know what? Let's go middle of the day. It's noon. Where's Dr. Hakuri?
She's in the lab.
Alrighty, how perfect. Well, for you, I actually already have that set up. So as you are in the labbing, a couple moments after the clock strikes noon, you can hear the door open, and as you look back, you can see Commander Arif, commanding officer of Deep Space 17.
Hello, Commander. What brings you here?
Doctor, it's quite the pleasure to see you again. Well, I have to admit my my attendance isn't entirely professional. However, I was hoping I could ask you a personal favor for, well, one of my professional colleagues.
Depends on what the favor is. Go on.
That that's certainly fair, he says, nodding and kind of easing his back against one of the walls, just leaning on it comfortably, and he says, "Well, I think I know that this will probably be right up your alley anyways, given the ship, but Well, as I believe you know, the Federation in general, we've done some looking into the concept of a mobile emitter, much the same as the Doctor from the USS Voyager managed to get a hold of. Um, to date, the best that we've been able to achieve is that of a large briefcase or a suitcase. And well, given your chip's specialty and the fact that you'll be in the area in the vicinity, I well was quite frankly hoping you could take a stab at it.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. How
And
soon do you need this?
oh, I don't see this. Certainly, there's no rush on it. After all, such an advancement like this is liable to take months or weeks or months as opposed to overnight. And I certainly don't want you to uh, wear yourself out over something that is quite frankly a side project. After all, I know Captain Nira. I'm sorry. I know Nira speaks pretty fondly of you, and well, I know she's got some plans for you yet, anyway. So I wouldn't want to divert.
Okay, it was just a ballpark, but yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'll check in with you periodically.
Of course, Arif says, and please, oh, he suddenly says, looking almost a little embarrassed as he says, I hope you don't think that I'm asking you to engage this project clandestinely. I, you have, by all means, you know, speak of it with whom you will. Not, this is not one of those situations, he says with a bit of a smile.
Understood.
Um, and smiling brightly, he gives you his thanks, and he kind of spins out the door where he goes to his next object uh curiosity or of the day. And we're talking noon at this point, maybe noon 20, 12:30. What is Miss Jill? Or more importantly, where is Miss Jill?
The bridge.
Okay. And as just out of curiosity, would the sesh be on the bridge as well?
I suspect that Desesh is in his ready room, probably on his fifth log.
Uh, fair enough. So as Arif exits the turbo lift of the bridge and sees Joe in the center chair, he um smiles good naturedly and uh walks up with a little bit of a uh and with a voice at a low register and a bit of playfulness in his tone. He says, "Captain."
So he's
Looking up.
wandered into the. Oh, okay.
Uh, this is the bridge, right?
Oh yeah, he's talking to you.
Yeah, with a little bit of a grin, Jill chuckles. Good afternoon, Commander. I trust everything is going okay with you.
Oh, always. In fact, it seems the surgery's been a resounding success, and kind of kind of motioning towards the chair next to you. He says, "May I?"
She nods and just gives a gesture over to the chair. Go ahead.
Um, and as he sits down comfortably and kind of crosses his legs towards you and uh rests his head on his hands and his elbow on the armrest of the seat, he says, "Well, you're looking a bit more rested than last I saw you yesterday, and that's certainly a good sign."
Yeah, it's true. It's a little bit better, and she'll be a lot. She'll be quiet enough to. It's obviously just a one-on-one conversation. I did mean
Mhm.
to apologize. My conduct was inhospitable when you and S- Sahara arrived. I meant to apologize, but with everything being so busy, I didn't want to disrupt the captain's surgery.
Um, Looking at you almost a little confused, he says, uh, "I'm sorry, did you say inhospitable?"
She nods.
Um, I mean, I okay, if you're gonna go out of your way to apologize for it, I'll tell you my read of the situation. And when I beamed in, you looked, well, quite frankly, enormously fatigued and enormously distraught. And while I'm sure that out there I can certainly be the cause for someone being distraught just upon my appearance, I don't think I can spontaneously give somebody the fatigue. So I took honestly no offense to it. And the inhospitality that, quite frankly, you're mentioning, I felt the inverse. I felt under the circumstances and the trouble you were obviously under. It was remarkable.
Oh, thank you. I try. It's there's just a obviously everybody has a few issues here and there, and unfortunately, it was to the point. It was something that got the better of me.
Well, if you ever want to talk about it, I was gonna say my door is always open, but I should only be here for about a week, so I'd say there's a window, unless you want to call me.
She'll chuckle at that. So I appreciate that, and maybe later I will take you up on that offer. As far as right
Oh,
now, there's a few other people I need to discuss these issues with first.
of of course, he says, and then he says, and in that case, if you don't mind, I will let you be. I noticed that well, the other, I guess, the second of three captains currently is in the ready room, and he was going to be my next stop.
I'm sure there's nothing you can't put aside for a few minutes if you're hoping to talk to him.
Oh, of course. So rarely do I get people willing to take me up on it right away. So tell me, what ails you?
Mm, that's going to have to be something for another time. I apologize.
Oh, Ori says, of of course. Um, then you'll have to misunderstand me. It's possible I have misunderstood at this point. Well, I don't actually use a universal translator anymore for the most part. It helps keep the memory sharp, and though it definitely leads to misunderstandings, he says, getting up. And in that case, if you'll excuse me, I do hope later you will avail yourself. I'm been told I'm quite nice to talk to.
It definitely seems that way. I don't think we would have any issues discussing many matters. It's some things I need to discuss with others first before I freely discuss them with others. But I'm
Okay.
sure you remember the way to the ready room. I don't believe Disesh is under anything pressing at the moment.
Excellent. Then hopefully I won't get reamed for disturbing him. If you'll excuse me, Captain.
She nods.
And a couple moments later, at about, oh, we'll call it noon 40, Captain Desesh, you get a chime upon your ready room door.
All right. I'm in probably in the midst of recording my 6th log, which I've been restarting over and over again to try and get right. And I like pause for a moment because that interrupted my recording, so I'm just gonna. So it's like, okay, erase that. Go back to timestamp 0. Come in.
As the doors slide open, you can see Commander Arif enter the room as he says, "Ah, Captain Desesh."
Commander, I just gesture across my desk.
I apologize, I missed that. Could you?
I gesture across my desk to the chair and just encourage him to sit down.
To which he does quite fluidly as he says, "So I was simply hoping to see, well, how you were fitting in."
Things seem to be going quite well. I'm doing my best to try and feel the moment. Arif is getting the impression that just this is probably the most positive that he has seen Desesh in his presence. And once he's seated down, he just says, "I haven't had a chance, but I was informed that the captain is awake. How's she doing?"
She's pretty wonderful, to be perfectly honest with you.
Excellent.
Uh, and well, you seem to be in quite the spirits yourself. I can't help but say that's, well, a blessedly good sign.
Well, this isn't something that I'm that is really my ambition. So this is kind of a unique time for me to have the opportunity to be directly in the captain's chair, particularly in light of where we're going. Uh, have you been told about Bajara?
Um, I not much, to be honest with you. If you'd like to fill me in, I'd love to hear about it.
Well, he, I, t- uh, Commander Desesh kind of like pulls his hand up, and one of those little weird holographic scrolls that he's been using as his pad interface comes up, and he shows the star chart of our current course. During our negotiations, we were given several potential locations for established stellar powers in this region that we might be able to make first contact with, and one of them Well, we have reason to suspect maybe potentially a lost Bajoran colony. Bajara, like, and I show the symbol and indicate we don't really know how that would have worked, but given our distance, but knowing that ancient Bajoran ships had managed to travel quite a distance, and with the potential that this could happen as recently as the diaspora, we really don't know very much, but we've identified it as our potential first course in our little first contact tour that we're in the middle of.
Well, if I remember correctly, Arif says after thinking for a moment, I believe some time ago, I heard from my counterpart over in Bajor that they had. I'm sorry, the details escape me, but I do believe they had proved something along the lines of an ancient Bajoran ship making it to Cardassia.
Yeah, I'm aware of Cisco's discovery, but like that, the distance, like from a stellar standpoint between Cardassia and here, is pretty substantive. But the same principles might apply. It's quite possible that that one of those, I don't know, stellar winds, I forget what he called them, might have spread them quite far, particularly if the possibility of the prophets having intervened.
Well, Arif also says easily it's also could just be a matter of perspective if you think about it. I suppose the distance when compared to each other is quite great. However, the distance just in general is, well, quite small in the grand scheme of things.
Are you a religious man, Commander?
Not really, but I certainly don't begrudge you of your faith.
Particularly in matters when it comes to my people. I try to maintain a certain healthy agnosticism when it comes to actually doing my job, but when dealing with these things on sort of a personal level, I do find myself often asking the question of whether these sorts of things were meant to be. That it is very much a part of my faith that the prophets have a design, that they occasionally intervene, that they are of Bajor. And it just seems remarkable to me that this find would happen and that I would find myself in this seat at this time, in this place, that it's it's a lot to take in. And I have to admit, I've been struggling with it for weeks.
Well, that's well,
Don't get
quite.
me wrong, struggling with it in a positive sense, but it's overwhelming.
No, of course, and well, quite frankly, when you've been around as long as I have, well, coincidences are often harbingers that there's simply something unseen. After all, I believe it was a human, and I'm paraphrasing this, so please, I beg of you, don't take it as gospel, but I believe he said something along the lines of God doesn't play dice with fate. And after all, do you play dice with yours?
Well, I don't. When he mentioned the idea of coincidence, Desesh kind of got a little bit of a smirk on his face, like good-naturedly, but uh, it's. I mean, I know that you were in a different place during the second battle of Deep Space Nine, but I was with the Starfleet Corps of Engineers when my gods intervened, when the tide of history changed, not by force of arms, but by the will of the prophets. And as such, it's really made this part of my life kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, to understand why things turned out the way they did.
Uh, Looking at you a little bit and nodding, he says, I can certainly understand that. However, I can't I can't tell a lie. I must disagree with you wholeheartedly about the waiting for the other shoe to drop. I just don't believe that that's a great way to, well, go about. If it happens, it happens. But, if you look hard enough for something, you're going to find it, whether it's warranted or not.
It's a reasonable criticism, and I'm talking about an emotion, you understand. Like I said, I try to keep my keep an agnostic approach when it comes to the way that I continue to comport myself. But
Why?
it's a because it's a question that hangs in the air. I don't want to presume to have somehow the license of of fate itself uh, filling my sails, because that's the way of hubris. But there is a kind of a reassurance in believing that this is the way that my gods wanted it to turn out, and I'm kind of eager to see what the next step of it is.
And nodding at that, he kind of leans in a little bit and says, "Well, I can't fault you for that last one. After all, why do you think I'm still around?"
I was just about to ask you that, Commander. I have to admit, everything that I've seen tells me that you and my captain have a fairly toxic relationship, if you don't mind my being blunt. When you came on board, I was happy to see it, but I have to admit it forced a reevaluation of your relationship, and I was wondering if you would like an opportunity to clarify.
Uh, Smiling enigmatically, Arif stands up, as he says, "That's actually wonderful, Captain Desesh. I believe that, well, I too, often find myself needing to reevaluate, and I think it's a worthy skill to have, and certainly to be cognizant of. Um, and I, if you'll excuse me, I would like to go back and check on Nira.
Let her know that I'll be down as soon as my duty shift is over to tend to her, assuming she's awake.
Of course, I'm sure she'll be quite comforted to know, and I will, of course, pass on the information that the ship is being handled wonderfully in her absence.
Thank you, Commander. I hope we'll have a chance to run into each other again before uh, bef- uh, before you have to depart back to DS-17.
Well, I'll be here for a week, Captain. I sure hope so.
Yeah, that was the timetable I was given, but we don't know what's going to happen in between here and there. Uh, but thank you.
Of course. Au revoir. And Arif gets up. Well, he has gotten up. Arif walks down and out of the bridge, nodding pleasantly to Jill on his way past.
Definitely dodging.
As soon as the doors close, Desesh hits the button again. Acting Captain's log, Commander Desesh, Arash, Stardate, and it fades out as he starts his recording again.
Absolutely, and well,
You
quite.
gotta get the voice right. It's the captain
Yeah,
voice. You have to get it right.
I can already tell that wasn't the keeper.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Nira probably. The thing is you'll notice when you look onto the thing because you have Nira's command codes now. For now, is that there are like 5 copies of every one of her logs.
Yeah.
Oh, like Captain, like XO.
About halfway, about halfway through, she's like, no, 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 this is not right.
This is why Arik just types his logs. However, um, as he crosses the bridge and heads down to the turbo lift, do we have ourselves a Vanderveer?
Yep.
Alrighty, then sickbay is his next destination as VDV. You are, I would assume, in sickbay doing doctorly things as the door widens open and you can see Commander Reef walking through it.
Oh, Commander.
Ah, Dr. Vanderveer, I wanted to stop by and give you, well, quite frankly, my hearty thanks. You appear to have done a wonderful job on Nier.
Yeah, it went all right. I'm reviewing parts of the surgery now to see what I could have done better.
Uh, Chuckling a little bit, he says, "Did she try to convince you to, well, did she try
Bionic?
to?"
Yep.
Yep. Laughing a little bit, he says, "Yeah, can't take your eye off that one. Any chance she gets." And after a bit of a chuckle, he says, he says, tell me, doctor, well, quite frankly, is there anything you yourself need? Considering, well, the help that you have been to Nira, I am, well, more than feeling like, well, you're owed a lot, doctor. It's important that you uh, see your due.
What?
Did you just say what?
Vanderveer said, what?
Um, Doctor, it's you. Well, you did both the Federation and, well, quite frankly, if I'm being honest myself, a large service. And I would like, if there's any needs that you do have that I can help meet, I would really appreciate you allowing me to help.
Commander, all I did was fix a botched back surgery.
And he says, looking genuinely a little confused.
Do I need anything? Uh, nah, got nothing.
Huh. Well, shit, he says, leaning back a little bit. Typically people, well, huh. All I have to offer you is my thanks, doctor, then. I hope you won't find it ungracious that that's apparently the best I can afford.
Uh, yeah, excellent. Just to hang on to it and put it in the bank for a rainy day. He kind of waves his arm around a little bit and like a half salute, unsure of what to do.
That's fair. And as Arif kind of watches it with a little bit of a glint of amusement in his eye, he says, "Well, if you'll excuse me, doctor, uh, I would I would like to go check on you. Well, actually, why don't
You get exactly your answer for that because out in the hall you hear, "You damn little lawn gnome, it hurts so much." She's shouting for Vanderveer.
I guess we both better go check on Nira, doctor."
Sounds about right.
And as Arif kind of hurriedly rushes into the room to see Kasara, and as Vanderveer gets in there,
She's trying to sit up a bit, and it hurts. That's all. She was just cursing.
huh,
Oh,
well,
oh, right. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I just shouldn't move.
well, maybe you just shouldn't get up. Try getting up, Arif tries to say helpfully.
It's not a maybe about it. We don't even have the entire incision length sutured yet to account for the swelling. You're basically just superglued shut at this point, so can you not do that?
Right. Yes, fine. I won't move.
Because the next piece of glue's going on your shoulders to keep you down on the bed.
We might need that, doctor, Arif says, completely
Shut up, you little
serious.
fortune cookie.
Arif shuts up.
And she lays back down begrudging, or she kind of like, begrudgingly like, I have to play into the doctors make the worst patients. I have to. Mostly she just wants to get up. She thinks she can do more than she can.
I'm just going to put it this way. Just relax. We're basically, with the regeneration we got here, knocking out a procedure that, 50 years ago would have put you in recovery for 6 weeks. 6 hours? Nothing.
She nods. I know, I was performing those surgeries 50 years ago. Oh, fine. I will do it your way.
Huh. I think that's wise, Nira, Arif says. Yeah, Mom. Kasara pipes in to agree with Arif.
She just gets a little growl, like, you stop. Right, well, unless you're going to put me under lock and key, I'm sure you all have more important things to do. I'm probably just going to nap.
Are we gonna do that, Doctor? Arif looks up questioningly, with a hint of amusement in his eyes.
No, I think she's got enough of an alarm on her already that if she does try to get up, we'll be able to get here.
That gets that gets a definite chuckle out of Arif as
In Vanderveer's eyeline, in the Telltale game style, Nero will remember this.
and as As the scene kind of winds down on the in sick bay, we're gonna flip back up to the bridge where we are starting to, well, get into the outskirts of the Bahara system.
I'll be
And
wandering out of my ready room at this point.
alrighty, I'm just gonna double check that I have this correct. That I do. So I'm gonna move us as Joe and Desesh over in the over on the bridge. Deers helpfully looks back and says, Captain, we are just on the outskirts of the system now.
All right. I wander over towards the con and say, Lieutenant Commander,
Captain?
try to get my. No, Jill's not in the seat.
Oh,
Oh,
I
no,
apologize. I thought you were talking to me. Sorry.
No.
yeah, about like 5 seconds after he's just standing there. Oh, right. And she'll vacate the seat. Commander, at some point, I think we should. I like to have a talk with you, but it's personal. The
Yeah,
last part was said very quietly.
you mentioned at the end of the shift, right? You wanted to. Uh, this is about that holodeck program, right? You want to show me
Mm, you see her tense up for a moment, and then just gently shake her head. No, it's something else.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, Alpha Shift should be ending in like maybe a half hour.
She nods.
I'm.
That will be fine.
Yeah, I have to admit, I want to take in as much of this. I don't know how long the captain's going to be willing to stay on that bed, and so this is, uh, you know. But no, I'll be taking off my at the end of the shift though. I was planning to talk to the captain first though. Did you want to come with me?
This I would prefer if we. It shouldn't take very long if we could just speak first before going to the captain.
Okay. I, I sort of assumed it would be kind of a like. Did you want to get dinner, or should we just? Did you want to just talk in the ready room after shift then?
She'll think about that.
I had the
Just
impression you had like this was social. Is there something serious on your mind, Captain? Or sorry, Commander? Is Did you want to talk about it on shift? Is this more pressing? He looks very concerned. You know, uh, like this. You know, he's misread the situation, and
yeah, she is showing the same concerns. It is important, but it can't wait until after the show.
okay, all right. Well, I understand we're getting close to Bajara. Maybe uh, do we have we got any kind of long range scans as of yet in terms of their level of communications? Do we think that they have a sense of our approach? I'm just wondering if we're going to hit a clock as we enter into the system because we can't really wait once they see us before we start making first contact.
Long range scans have been
Um,
started, but they haven't been completed yet.
All right. Well, we're still like on a clock that ranges hours, right? Like I'm going to be able to get some
yeah,
sleep before we get to. Yeah, all right.
yeah,
I just
and you
consult
can
with the
also just
navigator.
and you're also the captain, so if you wanna wait till the next morning to enter the system, that's perfectly fine too.
Like it'll probably I'm going to make that call once I get the long range scans in. But we will be throttling things so that yeah, so that Alpha Shift probably will be rested and prepared for when we hit their radar, so to speak.
Right. Well, we mentioned some long range scans. Well, so let's take some. For this one, I'll take insight or control. With science. Difficulty. Oh, just for the hell of it, let's go difficulty 1.
Well,
No, difficulty 0. Difficulty 0.
are you asking this of? Sorry.
Whoever would normally be taking the scans, I'm not
Well,
deciding.
technically that would be her curry, but her curry is doing something else.
Yeah, she's not on the bridge at the moment, so it'd probably
Okay,
be a
Lawson, technically.
blue shirt of
Yeah.
some kind.
Well, Lawson would make sense. And she did ask for the scan anyways, and she's not
Yeah.
definitely not hands off. So
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was had the con while it was going on, so.
She's our
Uh,
tryout.
yeah, astrophysics.
Yeah.
All right. Control science with our advanced sensors.
Okay, you got 2 momentum under complication.
That's okay.
Oh, and I need to reset the APIs.
No, don't set anything yet because the ship. Okay, and technical expertise. I can reroll one of those dice. So 3 total.
Alrighty, so that is going to gain you 3 momentum, and oh, look at that, my tracker is back. Brings us there. Okay then, gaining you 3 momentum, and I will give you a little bit more information after I've shown you this. But as the readout comes through, the Jill, you make what appears to be a pretty startling determination is this system has been seen before and scanned before, and well, quite frankly, well scanned before because it appears to be the Sol system.
Yeah, there is a longer than casual period of time where she's just quiet, checking the consoles. Like this can't be right. Runs over everything again. So, Commander, take a look at this, and she'll beckon him over and literally look over and put the 2 systems side by side, a direct comparison of the Sol system versus this system.
That's Earth. That's Sector 001. Sol system.
How?
How does
Question: How percentage? How much of an exact match is the system to the Sol system?
So obviously things like Federation satellites and whatnot are not present.
just about to ask if
uh,
Starbase One was there, but
No, no, not at all. So basically, what you're looking at is, I guess the best way to put it would be what the Sol system would essentially look like now if the Federation hadn't really sprung to be and perhaps was, uh, I guess, just cleaner.
So
So like
Like the stellar bodies are identical.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
yes, yes.
It's a 100%
There's not-
outside of the technological interference.
Yes. And then a couple things like just random orbital drift or stuff like that. A couple of the asteroids are a little bit off. A couple of the planets' degrees are like
What-
maybe slightly. But it's almost like what would have happened if someone Xeroxed the Sol system, 100 million or so years ago.
Is that like so? The position of the planets is also like in the same time frame that it would have been,
Oh yeah.
like the planets are in relative. I would actually send for an update as to the relative stellar position of objects at Earth right now, to update that so that we can confirm if it's literally up to the minute with a couple of like
Oh,
minor.
okay, no, I apologize. That's where the misunderstanding on my part came from.
Okay,
It
I just
would
wanted to.
not be. It would have been like a carbon. If we were like 100 million years ago or so, the answer would have been yes. But by now, there's been enough just random occurrences
Yeah, I
that
was wondering
Things been hit
butterfly
a
effect
couple of
wise.
times. Things been hit off orbit in our system a few hundred times, and
yeah. So there are differences to the Sol system, sorry, but essentially it's all the same planets, it's all the same moons. Um, Pluto
You-
exists.
Jupiter has its storm, yada yada.
Yep. Neptune's still the prettiest.
Uranus is still the funniest.
Fair. But
How-
yeah, definitely interesting.
How many other times has something like this been encountered?
Uh, that's a good that you were aware of. I'm gonna say
I'll spend momentum as for an extra question. No, as science officer, I can just ask an extra question. So there you go.
oh, okay. As as you would be aware, from your captaincy, this is not the first time that you've run into this. The Enterprise, NCC 1701, no letters, has run into this under the command of Captain Kirk. The Enterprise, I can't remember if it was the D or the E at the time, under the command of Jean-Luc Picard, also ran into this, and um, there have been a couple other reports. But you would also remember that they got classified pretty quickly.
Having been a former captain, would Jill have any recollection of why they were classified,
Uh,
or was it
as a former captain, no.
Admiral Sewell?
As a former captain, you would not know why they were classified.
Okay.
Do you share that information with me though? Because I don't think I'd be aware of
The
that.
only, yes, Jill will share. Like, this isn't the first time this has been encountered. I don't believe I can go into why or what the cause of this would be.
Oh.
This is too many times for it to be a natural occurrence.
What you don't remember the circumstances of the other incidents?
No, I'd never had the access. A lot of it was A lot of it when I was a captain, I didn't need to look into it, and well, right now I don't have the access.
A delighted grin goes over Desesh's face. He's like, You mean I have to use my access? All right, it's a solemn responsibility.
I don't know if you'll be able to get the answer. Maybe classified even above the captain's level, but it's worth a shot.
I'm eager to try. I'll be in my ready room. He kind of like,
Of course, he's having
yeah. I have captain level access. I can ask these things now. And
Child in charge.
I skip
all
over to
for
my ready room.
sure compared to a reef. Anyways, so sure, as Desesh rushes excitedly into his ready room to get his captain's level access tested, why don't you give me a control or insight or presence with a command or science difficulty 0.
All right, so that was whoops. All right, that was that would be control command. You said would be acceptable.
I would take control command.
All right, would Starfleet protocol or Starfleet protocol
Absolutely.
represent? Okay. All right, let's see how this goes.
Oh my. Well, you gain a momentum, if nothing else, bringing you
Uh,
up to 4.
Let me see if I can do something about that complication. What do I have going into this? No, I don't think I have anything that really affects that. So let's just let that slide. People at
Alrighty.
Starfleet hate me, so let's see how this plays out.
Okay. So first things first, as you go to whatchamacallit, check the logs and basically look for more information. It almost immediately comes back as classified uh well under your I'm sorry, well over your clearance. And as in terms of the complication, I'm gonna say down over in sick bay, um, Arif's little personal computer thing with uh what little buzzes with the information that Dinesh just attempted to whatchamacallit, access this. Because why not? No, I'm gonna say that due to a couple cross wires, it was put the answer to it that was put under a reef as well. So he got an answer to the query, the same one that you did.
Telling on me to daddy. All right. All right. I did get an answer to the query though.
Yeah, it was classified above your pay grade.
Is that did it say specifically my pay grade or Nira's? Because I'm using her command codes at this point.
It's
Like,
above captain level.
okay. So the impression is not like you are not allowed to use your position as acting captain because we hate you. It's that this would be
No, it's
theoretically.
access denied. You need admiral's clearance or above.
All right. Well, I guess I gotta talk to like based on what I've been told previously. Am I allowed to contact Santos directly? Because I remember there was that whole thing where apparently Arif is supposed to uh, speaks for him or something like that. But I'm not entirely clear on how that works. But would I be going over Arif's head if I went directly to Santos, since he's the one with the access for this?
That's a fair question. And one that is a good enough question that I am going to keep it as an unknown, and you can either try to seek out that information for yourself, or you can, um, well, just go ahead with it. And that's
I
a good
sigh
call.
and hit the button. Uh, uh, Commander Desesh to Commander Arif. Could you please report to the ready room?
And you can hear in the background Nira yelling about something or other as his hushed and good-natured still tone comes back and says, "Oh, of course, if you'll just give me a couple moments, Captain."
Thank you.
Yeah, you just do it. Sweetheart, please stop. I'm fine. Sora, please sit down.
And as the communication cuts off, let's actually go a step back into sickbay where the Kasara uh, actually storming off due to her mother's insistence on her calming down, kind of comes out to the main room before Reef has a chance to leave, and locking on to Vanderveers, she looks to him and says, "Excuse me, doctor," she says almost angrily.
Yes.
Um, well, all right. The fact is, my mom's being a little bit rough, and I know in an attempt to, well, quite frankly, not give you more work to do on her behalf, I decided to walk out here because I know, well, she told me that uh, you were able to, well, quite frankly, go hunting with one of the Roshan, and I was hoping to hear about your experience.
Oh, yeah. I was more interested in just seeing how they perform their osteotomies. Uh, One of the things
What's
that
that
made its
about?
way through the surgical community after Voyager got back with the Rojan was they have a really meticulous and uh, pretty impressive way of sort of deboning, or at least removing the skull from various prey animals.
Like, like a taxidermist? She says, questioningly.
Uh, Kind of. Sort of like what the taxidermist does, but instead of just taking the hide off the animal, they were really good at taking everything off. But they didn't really have to take it off, they just sort of degloved it.
What if you you'll have to excuse my ignorance. I'm not a doctor, but I do know a thing or two about science. Could you could why would that be beneficial to a healer?
I had a patient one time that came in, worked in an industrial farming plant. He tripped and fell into a grain processor. He made it out pretty okay, but what it did do was crush his leg up to his hip. And there is a socket in the hip. And then there's a ball from the femur that sits in there. Normally, we'd have to rebuild that entire piece of bone or replace it, which can lead to a lot of problems in the future of the patient's life. So, what I did is cut a shelf into that bone and then use the pieces to sort of pin the rest of it back together so that it could just be osteoregenerated. If I had the Hirogen technique back then, I probably could have done it faster with less recovery time and a better outcome overall. Just the way that they operate by cutting into bones. That's what osteotomy means, is bone cut. And
Oh,
the way that they reattach the ligaments, integumentary
Right.
tissue, and skeletal muscle to those areas, once you figure out how to detach it the proper way, like they do, reattachment is probably 70% easier.
huh.
You
She
know, you know
says,
if you take something sticky and you put it on the wall, and you take it off, and you put it on, and you take it off, and you put it on, and yada yada, it eventually starts to lose its stick. But if you put it on another clean spot of the wall where you don't get all the crap and residue and crud built up, it sticks better. Same thing, only with a bone.
with with the analogy actually helping quite a bit for her, you can see the kind of comprehension dawn on her as she thinks about it and says, I guess that I guess that makes a lot of sense. That's well, and she just kind of shrugs and says, I suppose this is why I never followed mom in her profession because I don't think I would have been able to even see the connection.
Well, every doctor sort of approaches the same problems differently. You gotta evaluate each case individually.
Well, I suppose it's much the same with science as well, and engineering. That's quite frankly where my particular strengths lie. And I do, well, quite frankly, um, she kind of thinks for a second before she goes, actually, on that note, that's good, well, a good time to ask. I don't suppose my mom, she didn't badger you about, cybernetics, did she?
She went on about a couple different courses of treatments that I didn't think were optimal. The thing about medicine that's different than science or engineering, though, is you can do everything right in medicine and still lose.
Well, uh, that's the same is very true with technology as well. Kasara says just, quite frankly, um, ask, I believe, from your own planet, Mr. Oppenheimer, I believe it was, would argue that, the same could easily exist with technology.
Except that his work was based in physics. It's hardwired.
Huh. Yeah.
I've had perfectly
Well,
healthy patients drop dead for almost no reason, and I've seen patients that should have been dead a long time ago make full recoveries. Kind of bizarre. There's certain things in medicine that just don't have an easy explanation. If something happens to a engine, you can go back and look at it and figure out what failed and recreate and replicate a million times over. The exact same thing will happen every time.
I was always taught to believe that, quite frankly, the body is essentially an engine, and that biological, uh, all of that could be done just as easily as technologically, given the right circumstances and ability.
It's a good analogy, but I don't go to the mechanic when I got a headache.
Oh, probably for the best, she says, as she kind of, you both see Arif kind of uh, rush out the door, and as he does, he almost looks at you pityingly, Doctor, and says, "Doctor, you might. I'm obviously not the expert here, but given how much she's complaining about it, you might wish to increase her uh, painkillers."
Got you.
And as he rushes out the door, we're gonna follow with a reef as
She's being characterized as a petulant child
you're
and a
the
druggie.
you're the well, no, a reef simply was looking to get you some help, but you're the one who's yelling at people. So,
Yeah, that's true.
uh,
She hurts.
as we follow, I guess, as we follow a reef as he takes the turbo lift to the bridge, I should ask, what's on the view screen of the Nightingale? That
Truly,
is,
the turbo lift would stop him and say authorization required with what Desesh had ordered off screen.
Yeah,
a
it's
reef,
in the
and
chat, but Desesh has ordered an information lockout on the bridge to minimize the number of people that are exposed to Bajara sensor data. Specifically because it's starting to look like this is pretty high up uh, stuff, and I want to minimize the number of people that could have to be debriefed if this ends up being super high classified. So he wouldn't see anything on the big screen. There's like a massive information lockout, and everyone's being compartmentalized right now.
oh no,
But he
that's
would,
no problem. So if he's getting stopped at the turbo lift, he'll simply put in his command code, and the turbo lift will, unless you've locked it out to anyone but your and Jill's command code specifically, his codes will work in this
that wouldn't
situation.
be the
Um,
case.
Yeah, Desesh said to seal the bridge, so it would just say authorization required, which it's not a big deal to just call up and say, I'm trying to reach the bridge. And, oh, okay.
Oh no,
Yeah,
but you'll still see just his command codes being entered. He's not gonna call up. Uh,
yeah, he can brute force it if he wants, but it'll let him in.
Absolutely. And well, since there's nothing on the view screen at the moment, after I believe Desesh is in his ready room,
Yeah, still
correct?
in the ready room.
Yeah, I'm just
Um,
still pouring over the science console.
as you see Arif emerge almost without warning, uh, he looks up to the dead view screen and over to Jill and says, "Heyo, what's going on?"
Well, first of all, it's not much of a surprise. She would have seen the code get used to access the bridge, but with that said, knowing that he was coming, um, not entirely sure with what we've found with the Bahara system. Why you're back awfully quick? Something wrong?
The captain asked me to treat with him in the ready room.
Oh,
I
well, in
couldn't
that case,
help it.
you may get a lot more information. In that case, you'll probably learn everything really quickly. He's where you know where to find him.
Of course. He says quite smoothly as he crosses the area to the ready room, and Desesh, you get that wonderful chime,
Enter.
and you see Arif. Oh, and not Ari, and not Captain Morgana, but you see a reef enter as he says, "Captain, what can I do for you?" Couldn't help but notice the bridge is on lockdown.
Yeah, just to be upfront before we start getting into this, understand that you are being read into a situation that is currently being locked out as an information quarantine at my captain level authorization. I understand your access is high enough to justify it, but I just wanted you to be aware that nothing's leaving this room right now.
Oh, smiling a little bit, he says, "Well, depending on who you choose to believe these days, that could be questionable how wise that is, but of course, I give you my word."
Brings up one of his scrolls again. This time it's the security lockout that he just ran into. And then he also like slides his hand forward and brings up the sensor data that Lawson prepared for him, the side by side of the current system and the Sol system. And he goes through the quick exposition about the relationship between the two systems and the fact that this is apparently something that has been encountered
Well,
before.
actually, before you are even able to get into the spiel about what it is, kind of looking at the readings, you hear, "Oh, my, you found another one. I guess this makes two for Nero."
Actually, I got the impression this was three.
Uh, 3, he says, "Oh, no, I just meant for her personally, if
Right,
memory
because she
serves."
was on the 106. She was on the
1701.
1701, wasn't she?
She was.
She
Oh,
was, yeah, she was under Nurse Chapel at the time.
oh,
Uh,
I
and,
really.
uh, asking, looking at you, he says, "And what about, did you manage to find the obelisk yet?"
I don't know what you're talking about. They've locked me out of the system, apparently, and I pulled you up here because, it's been sort of the informal expectation that uh, I'm to go through you for the before I talk to the admiral. So I wanted you at least in the room before I try and get past this. But it's kind of sounding like you have information for me yourself.
I've simply been around long enough to know what it is. That's, I mean, well, quite frankly, and kind of pointing towards the replicator at the side of the room. He says, "Oh, do you mind?
Go ahead.
And can I get you anything while I'm here?"
Um, just
There's
uh,
another jerky in
ice
the
water.
pantry.
Um, of course. He says as he looks to you and grabs, well, gets up, goes to the replicator and gets an ice water and, oh, we're feeling a little saucy today, so let's go with a cranberry lime seltzer with 2 ice cubes. And as he brings the 2 drinks back, one flat and one bubbly, uh, he sits down on the other side of the desk and says, "Well, to date, and you'll have to excuse me if my numbers are a little bit off, but I believe, I guess counting this one, uh, this would be the 149th duplicate system that Starfleet's discovered."
You see, like the commander's eyes go wide and say, "Before we proceed, Commander, just to save you time, is this something that I can read the lieutenant commander into?"
Uh, sure. He says, after it's classified above your level, but so it's certainly classified above hers. But
Well,
well,
it kind of sounded
frankly,
like
I
you were
think
willing to cross that particular line, Commander. So I figured it's best if you don't do it twice. Uh,
well, that's fair, and I would say that I'm sure I think I can speak for Nira to say that I don't think she would mind uh me talking about this with either of you, and well, if she does, she's usually pretty pissed at me anyways, so it is what it is.
Lieutenant Commander, could you join us, please?
Oh, uh, I think
I will be
There.
right there. And I need 5 minutes, but I'll be back on in a minute.
Okay.
of course.
Why don't you
Um,
switch to someone else then? Well, just to keep the uh, things being spread around.
absolutely. And let me just give me 2 seconds here. I am.
Actually, I'm going to take a moment to just fill my water bottle. So if you want to switch to someone else, I'll be right back.
Yep. Okay. No, I was just double checking. In which case, hey, guess what, Vanderveer, you get to go to an angry captain and
She's not angry.
well, an in pain captain. Uh, because well, we've got Kiana not feeling great, and unfortunately, as wonderful a doctor as you are, Vanderveer, there's nothing you can do for her in this situation. Um, so to sick bay we go.
So, Captain, how are you feeling?
On a scale of what exactly?
Uh, 1 to 10.
Realistically, a 10. Unrealistically and completely overblown. Feel like I've been hit by a freighter.
Yeah, yeah, spinal column surgeries will do that. Yeah, you do seem a little angry.
Oh, I I tend to get a bit. I'm not exactly one for lying around. She says, so I apologize if my temper and, well, mixed with the pain, she says, I'm probably not at my best.
Not a problem. How would you rate your pain?
I would rate it a 10, but honestly, I think it was because I tried to move earlier.
Okay, well, I brought you something for that.
Thank you. She says, I greatly appreciate it. And I apologize if Arif and Kasara are quite on the badgering side.
Oh, no, the
Intended.
girl's fine. A reef's a reef.
Uh, that's fair. To be fair, Kasara took after her biological father. Very
He
good with.
seems to have a hard time expressing simple concepts of gratitude.
Oh no, no! Arif is not her father. No, Arif is I guess basically like a stepfather. No, her father was Romulan. She says.
Well, I figured being half Romulan, and being your daughter, there's only really one other option to go there. I am a doctor. I might not be a geneticist, but I did pick up a couple classes in genetics.
Well, that's a very good day, doctor.
Yeah.
I've got to say
Huh.
the ears and the slight eyebrow ridge is a dead giveaway.
Yes, yes. It's yeah. Just just plainly like, okay, you got me there.
It's the painkillers.
Yeah. No, but yes, her father used to work on warbirds. She says, so
Oof. I hear they're big.
some of them can be. Yes, he worked on. He was an engineer on a Talis. She says the smaller, kind of like the Saber, or like the Defiant of the Romulan Navy, as it were.
Ooh, I know that last one. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of your hair. You'll probably feel a little tired. You want your
Yeah,
window open? You want
I-
to look out the window or something? Does that make you more comfortable?
She thinks about that for a moment, and then remembers. Oh yeah, that's right. She goes, yes, sure, please, thank you. She was like, her stone brain went. Wait a minute.
Huh?
Vacuum is out there.
And you know what? Just to make things a little interesting, before we flip back to that ready room, let's take us back a couple minutes for when Arif first started, for when Arif first entered the ready room and uh, down, uh, down on the bridge. We have the blanking on his name. Jacques turns to Jill and says, Excuse me, Commander Lawson. It appears that we have a waiting communique for you. It's from in Mr. Edwin Troy."
Okay, I'll take it in the other office then, please. And she'll beeline it off the bridge to the now it's the first officer's office.
Absolutely. And as you get there and the uh you click on the view screen, you see the visage of Edwin Troy, and he says, honey, is everything okay?"
There's a few moments of silence, just a smile crosses her face. For now, it is. Dad, thanks. I'm glad you could get back to me so quickly. I've got a. I don't know if it's a problem. I honestly don't know how to phrase this, but the my empathy isn't as dead as we thought it was, and
Um,
I don't. I'm not sure how well I can how I'm supposed to be able to process this. I remember we didn't really go through the telepathic training. We just moved to Ryza.
um, well, frowning a little bit and also looking concerned, he says, it never honestly seems necessary to put you through that training, but I can't say this isn't slightly concerning. However, um, should you and he almost looks a little worried in asking this, but he says, "Should you request a leave of absence and maybe come home?"
Till there's several seconds of actually thinking about that. I don't want to. I don't want to set myself back for something that might be easily handled, but I I just wanted to let you know that something has developed. I At one point I started seeing flashes, and here, well, I'm going to send you this, and she'll send over the full report that Vanderveer made.
Um,
The the that part of me that just seems to be spinning and doing nothing, well, it seems like it's doing something now. I wasn't exactly sure who else to talk to about this first.
uh, reading the report, um, and why don't you give me a insight security difficulty 0?
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I realize. I can do that for you. Um, do you have any? Oh, okay. Okay, that is not correct. You got a 12 and an 8, so something is weird there.
What the hell did they do?
Did you, par chance, use Test Flight app?
It wasn't the test flight app. There was a companion app. If it didn't work, then it didn't work.
Yeah. I'll take
So
care of
does
it. Do you want to just flat roll?
Yes, unless
All right.
leadership counts as a focus.
I think I mean, no matter what, it's your dad, so I'm gonna give you a focus, but that's justifiable. Okay, you got a 2. Bringing your guys' momentum to cap as you realize that Troy puts on a face as if, but obviously nothing is wrong or whatnot, and he's not concerned. But you can see that the concern that he's trying hard to hide is he outwardly calmly looks over the report and says, "Well, honey, I don't think this is too much to worry about, but even still, I think, well, if nothing else, I think if something were to develop, then it might. Well, I'll I'll be on the next flight out," he says.
I well, that's if you're saying it seems to be okay. I trust you. I was also wondering, have you heard of anything like this happening before? I know I'm the only one with mom being mom. But there are uh, plenty of others that are interspecies.
Um,
I guess I just want to make sure I don't have to worry about just dropping into a coma at the in an instant.
no, of course not, he says reassuringly, and quite frankly, God, outside of Starfleet Medical, considering your posting, I couldn't think of a better place for you to be. And well, I don't know of anything like that offhand, but if memory serves from the approximate location of where the Nightingale is presently, I should be there within about a week, so I'll have plenty of time to study up and get you a better answer.
Please don't go out of your way if it's I don't want to be any kind of a bother. I just talking to you is enough. But if you want to come, I'll make sure you're taken care of. She says with a growing smile on her face.
Uh, Laughing a little bit, he says, "Please, I was coming to that sector anyways." Obviously, being full of it. Um, and as he says, as he starts to say something else, you get a little message, or actually, you get a little beep on your comm badge, and it is temporary Captain Desesh.
Okay, Dad. I have to go, Dad. But thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
But
of
duty
course,
calls.
honey. Of course, I'll be on my way soon.
I'll I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Love you, honey.
Love you too. And with that, she'll close the connection and then tap her comm badge. Lawson,
She'll just get the message. Lieutenant Commander, can you come in here, please?
I'll be right there. And she'll head over to the ready room.
And a few moments later, uh, she doth appear.
Uh, I was about to get some information here, and I wanted you read in, Lawson, but the lockout's in effect. You understand. Have a seat.
Of course.
Um,
And she'll take a seat next to Arif.
What's an
uh,
obelisk?
um, Before we get started, Arif says, real quick, noticing that his own cup is empty, he gets up again to head to the replicator and looks back questioningly at the two of you.
Sash is still nursing his.
Coffee, please. No cream,
Sure.
no sugar.
And as you see, Arif put his own cup in the reclamator, he orders the coffee correctly, and this time he's gonna go with a you know what? He's he's gonna have himself a Werner's ginger ale. And as he brings the two cups and sits down, he says, uh Obelisk, well, and looking at Lawson, he says, "I'm not surprised the captain hasn't heard of it given his uh, only recent ascendancy, but I'm sure you've heard of the preservers, haven't you?"
Lawson nods. Uh,
Um, we think they're somehow connected to them, though there's, well, quite frankly, no hard proof. But well, as I've said, we've found a number of these. Uh, Starfleet's been given to calling it duplicate systems, but that's, I don't know how accurate of a term that is, but sure, there's been plenty of Sol systems, a number of Andor systems, if memory serves, a couple of copies of Kronos. There's been quite a
Ordinary.
number of them.
And we're keeping a lock on this? That's
Jill
groundbreaking.
will. Jill is going to straighten up and just flat out ask, how many of these duplicate systems are there? I've never had a need to look into them.
Well, looking to both of you, Arif says, well, unless this one's already been found, this should be the 149th, all things considered. And mind you, not all of them are Sol, as I've said. Um, however, and looking at
They're
the Sesh,
all
he says that's in answer to your statement, that is, well, quite frankly, pretty obvious. You've been in Starfleet long enough to know that they would consider it probably reason to cause a panic if the general knowledge out there was that someone out there was able to do this, as I think we can all agree this isn't natural.
I can understand that. I have to assume that these systems were generally unoccupied, or at least not occupied by mirrors of the stellar powers that occupied those
Um, a
systems.
few of them, a few of them have been occupied. I believe the Enterprise and one of them found more primitive, um, a more primitive colony of humans, and well, I do know for a fact that uh, the Sojournus system, operated or owned by the Centaurians, is also a copy of the Sol system. However, uh, culturally, uh, and they are human. However, culturally, uh, they stagnated in the Roman Empire. Not technologically, mind you, but and Disesh would have heard of that species race.
Yeah, just not the context, probably.
And Jill's nodding along. That's familiar for her at least.
Mhm. This obviously complicates what we were expecting coming into the system. We like I admit we have very little to go on in terms of the concept of a Bajoran offshoot colony, but if they came here and encountered an Earth that was in a previous stage of development, that I'm very curious to see what that would result in.
This doesn't complicate anything at all. It doesn't, at least it doesn't change our mission. We're
No, no.
still coming in to take a look around and see what is here.
Um, Nodding a little bit, Arif says, I can't disagree, Captain. I quite frankly uh, would posit that this, well, changes absolutely nothing. If it were the first one found, sure. However, he just kind of shrugs. We're nearing 150 now. They can't, you know, they can't all be a, um, he just kind of shrugs.
I
How
understand
many
that this.
question? How many duplicates of humans are at least on record as having been encountered by Starfleet?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
How many duplicates of humans have there been encountered by Starfleet as far
Three.
as what's on record?
Three, Arif says. There's the Roman. There's the he kind of uh thinks back for a moment. He's like, there's the ones that Nira encountered, the Moles or the Oles, something like that. It's been a while. And then there's the other there was some I believe it was uh And he just shrugs apologetically and says, "I'm sorry, the details escape me, but it doesn't seem to be the norm for them to be inhabited."
Commander, I think we received information suggesting that this was not the first time Starfleet has encountered this specific instance. Didn't wasn't it mentioned previously that there were existing sensor readings of this system, or was that something that I got that was confused?
Um, so you learned of their existence from the Azurians. Um, I don't, and you had gotten a Vedic to get sent towards them, but um, no,
Okay, I
Starfleet
thought I heard
was
you
all.
say that earlier. So,
I
but okay, you're the
might
first
have,
Starfleet ship here.
yes, for this specific one, yes.
Oh, okay,
I might have misspoken.
yeah, just confirming that. Okay. Uh, Desesh chuckles a little bit and uh, refocuses. So, can we determine what stage of Earth's development we are witnessing here? I'm looking at Lawson as I say that.
Storyteller, is there anything that we could have learned from the long range scan?
Uh, Bahara Arif helpfully corrects, not Earth. And as to the question of that, it's essentially uh, picture Earth if there was no industrial age really to kind of muck up the atmosphere and whatnot. Or if there was an industrial age, it just if uh, it's a much cleaner version of Earth, and even though by now the Federation has been able to do that artificially, this is natural. Um, However, in terms of the planetary development, uh, are you asking about the planet or the people?
Or the
I was asking about the planet. What we could pick up on the long range scan in regards to the development of the planet.
Then yeah, just essentially a clean Earth as it would be in the 24th century.
Well, in that case, Joe will straighten up, and uh, the long range scans are not. We'll need a little bit long. We would need more time to do a more detailed scan, but from where we're at and how far away they are, they could easily be very pre-warp, or obviously we know that they are warp capable. It's hard to tell what the development level is, at least from this range, but from our information from the Azurians,
Yeah, with they are
at least know they have
communicating with
development.
local interstellar communities, so so they have to be post warp. But uh, it's just I'm fascinated. All right, yeah, I guess that means that that you're right. We don't proceed any differently. But I'm have to admit, I'm very curious to see the noses of the people that show up on the view screen.
Joe
That is.
will shrug at that. Um, Arif, you mentioned obelisks. Is there any? Do you know of any power signatures we can be on the lookout for?
Uh, as he looks to you and just kind of chuckles, he says, "Well, you're probably looking at the Mark One eyeball. Quite frankly, they're pretty impervious to well, all of the sensor scans that I know of the Federation's thrown at him.
Sorry, I haven't been given context for this. How are obelisks related to this and the preservers?
Oh, they've shown up pretty much in every system so far. They range from size for sure. Uh, I think the largest one was in orbit around one of the planets and was of 300 or so meters long. Smallest one, the size of, well, Ari.
But that seems to be a constant with every one of these duplicate systems.
Commander, just to get your input on this before I allow it, I would like to be able to read my full command staff in on this particular issue. Do you think that we're going to have any problems with that on the Starfleet intelligence level if I were to do so?
Shrugging a little bit, he says, well, rumors are as rumors are. This just happens to be one that I can tell you there's a greater chance of confirmation than most. Um, I might keep it off your duty logs, but until you get something hard. But
Yeah, I'm keeping the bridge lockout. I just want to be able to get my senior staff into the room to talk about this. I some of my staff are civilians, and so I wanted to make sure that you confirmed that this was safe.
well, I have a much laxer personal view on such matters than certainly a lot of members of the Stuffy Admiralty. Um, I personally feel the even the bridge lockout might be a little overzealous, though I certainly understand it.
You're
As a captain, Joel's just going to speak up. As a captain of the ship, it's the direction you feel to go is your authority. As far as backlash from Starfleet, making attempts to understand will be accepted with the situation that we're in. And yes, we're taking precautions to honor the lockouts that they've been trying, but keeping everything to yourself is invitation to ignorance. There may
yeah.
be more. Somebody may have an idea that's worth hearing, and you're at least trying to preserve secrecy while still getting full understanding.
Well, just the fact that Arif and Nira know about this stuff implies that it's not that big a secret. So yeah, I'm going to bring the rest of the command staff in. Uh, Arif, I'm going to give you an option. You clearly are an asset on this, but at the same time, you're not on the duty roster. If you want to go back to Nira, I understand.
Um, as he kind of shrugs, he says, "Well, I mean, it's you quite frankly, I'm gonna be here for quite a bit, so I'm sure I'll be able to soak up enough near time, and I don't really want to get in your way, but if
Keep you in the
you
room
guys,
then, if that's okay.
of course, I
All
live to
right.
serve," he says, and just to go back for a second, if you do get in trouble in Starfleet, just blame me. I'm on their shit list at the moment anyway, so I don't care.
You'll fit right in. Senior staff
Still
to
talking.
the conference room.
That would be. I know Kiana is feeling a little sick, so I believe that leaves us Mr. Vanderveers, who, just as the captain is starting to get a snooze, gets a page to the. I'm sorry, did you say ready room or conference room?
Conference room.
Gets a page to the conference room.
She wouldn't get a page to the conference room. She's in medical recovery.
Oh no, I meant you
You're in
got a
the-
page.
Oh, yeah.
She
Yeah,
just
I
wants
would. Sorry. Yeah. I would have thought of that.
to.
Mhm. And uh, to just skip over repeating all of the exposition, we can skip to the fact that Dr. Vanderveer is basically read into this whole preservers thing that we have currently encountered. So if we want to uh, uh, continue the discussion in the conference room.
Absolutely. And I will note that as you get in there, Vanderveers, I can't speak for anyone else, but Arif, it looks quite calm and greets you warmly and holds up a steaming mug of, well, the smell will tell you is, and the look will tell you is hot chocolate.
Disesh is sitting in the captain's chair, so he's feeling. Uh, he seems quite content.
Vanderveer has just had his entire view of the universe shaken up by the fact that there's an exact replica of Earth, and not only is there one, but many. He's composed, but does not look comfortable, and is in a full-on flop sweat.
It's okay,
I'll
Doctor.
give you an
Take-
opportunity to work through it if you like, Commander. Or sorry,
I'll
Doctor.
take the hot chocolate, but can I get a shot of bourbon in it?
Of course, Arif says as he hops up to get the drink.
A lot to
And
take in, Doctor. I understand that. We're about we're about 9 hours from first contact at our current speed, and this doesn't seem to change anything in terms of what's going to happen tomorrow. I still want you on the first contact team along with the rest of the senior staff, but the implications of this, I kind of want to get a sense of what concerns you have.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just apparently this is a run-of-the-mill operation for you types.
Well,
First I've
not
heard of it
quite
today
run of the
too,
mill.
Alphonse.
Once the shock subsides, having lived the last 64 years of my life believing that we were relatively unique in our place in the universe, I do share some interest in their particular biology if they've become a new species together. Depending on when they got here, we're not talking about a hybrid of the two species like a few generations. We could be looking at something as different than, if not more so, than the Vulcans and the Romulans.
Agreed. This is extraordinary. I, quite frankly, the thing that is going to make my sleep troubled tonight is what happened when they encountered each other. This might very well have been a very different Earth and a very different Bajoran society that has had developmental experiences that we couldn't have predicted, and historical conflicts that, well, plan, hope for the best and plan for the worst.
Well, the worst case scenario is that they've divided themselves into different subgroups, but I mean, just looking at the planet, the fact that it seems so pristine means they must be homogenous. At least that would be my assumption. We'll know for sure tomorrow.
Yeah. Uh, I want everyone to, as part of their preparation for tomorrow's first contact, uh, take this information, prepare it. I- Given the circumstances, I'm going to ask that we maintain the information lockout to Alpha Shift, but otherwise, we'll allow people to move about freely. Just, Jill, if you can make sure that everyone knows to keep it under their hats for a little bit?
Of course.
All right. I'm going to let everyone make whatever preparations you will. Alpha Shift was over, looks like about half hour ago. So get some sleep, everyone. Jill, if you can stay.
She nods, and she'll wait for the room to clear out.
Before I go, Captain,
Yes, Doctor.
could I get a topographical map of the North American continent, or what would be the North American continent on Baraha?
You're
Bahara?
read in. I don't know that we have anything that.
Doctor, was when we're close enough to have a scan, I'll make sure you get a copy.
Appreciate it.
No place like home.
I want to see if Florida's still there.
Um, and
Sesh
as
gets up. Sorry.
I apologize. What was that?
Sesh gets up and does the sort of portentous thing where he looks out and like the camera angle shifts and you get like kind of a reflection on the glass, the standard like captain shot as we move into him talking to Lawson.
Absolutely. And as everyone files out, the room becomes the two of yours and the two of yours alone.
Which Jill will hesitate again and clear her throat.
Jill, I know you don't. It's a Bajoran colony on Earth. I'm like Arif talked to me about the idea of coincidence, and when I talked about, but the idea that I'm here, a Bajoran that grew up on Earth, that I'm the one here to do this at this moment. And he just kind of has this sort of wide-eyed, like, this is just so extraordinary to him. He's got that look of like, how do I process this in his eyes.
A slow smile creeps over Jill's face as she's still seated at the table, looking towards the window. All we can really do is take things one step at a time. If there are greater powers in effect here, then there's no way of knowing why or how. But we know what we can do. And keeping focus on what we are here to do will go a lot farther than playing guessing games at what everything else could happening around us. It's still a habitable world that your ancestors have managed to find and build civilization out of. And given the odds, they may have stumbled across this world long after it had been created. She shrugs. I don't think there's any other way to explain it, just that it was created with almost 150 of these duplicate systems out there like this. There's no other way to explain it, but it takes these have to have been in existence for so long before even many of our governments or our planets have even developed basic tools, much less spaceflight.
It feels like we're looking at the last page of a book that I could take my lifetime reading. Just
No,
the idea of this.
it's not it's not the last page. We're somewhere in the middle. Your
I didn't
book,
think that they'd finished writing it.
no, it's just another chapter.
He takes his comm badge and says, "I guess we're off duty at this point." Places it down on the desk. I signaled to the lieutenant to take over Khan. You wanted to talk. Did you want to go to dinner, or should we talk here?
Your choice, she'll say after another pause.
I could eat. He picks up his comm badge and heads for the door. And putting it back on, he signals to 10 forward to get a table prepared.
Absolutely. As the DM does just that. He gets the mess hall prepared. The two of you are able to successfully get down there. And
And Jill will make sure the bridge seal is released, so there's no more. Nobody has to keep authorizing people to come in and out.
fair. The dinner will not be interrupted because of that.
All right.
As why not? It's as the two of you get out and into the mess hall, Dagon comes out and from the galley and says, almost eerily mimicking the visage of the commanders that has just left the meeting room as he asks what the two of you would like for dinner.
I'd like Hasbrat. Actually, I've developed something that tastes right mild, if you don't mind.
Of course. And you, Commander?
Actually, I'll have the same thing, but don't water it down for me, please.
Alrighty. Regular spice, or should I add a little extra?
Regular is fine, thank you.
Of course. 2 minutes, 45 seconds, he says, and walks back into the galley.
Commander, I appreciate this. This is going to be difficult to say, but I don't. When I was captain of the Excelsior, I took pride in any of my crew being able to come to me with any of their issues, and it is a complete disservice to your current position if I don't come to you with the recent issues I've had in the last few hours.
What happened?
Well, as you're aware, I'm obviously half Betazoid, and there has been an incident. It's very difficult to explain. I'm still processing it myself. Apparently,
Do I need to
the
apologize?
she smiles at that and shakes her head. No, but
Oh,
she
okay.
will tap on her head.
Seems visibly calm.
The part of the part of me, and she taps on our temple again. That handles our telepathic and empathic abilities. It's, I guess, going haywire is a way to explain it. Enough
that
that I had to see the doctor just before the captain went into her surgery.
that must be disorienting. Is it affecting your performance? Oh, first of all, I my sympathies. I imagine that must be. I mean, this is upsetting. I'm sure. I'm sorry. I'll let you give me the context.
Um, Unnerving, absolutely. Right now the doctor isn't too sure on how far this may go, but he did give me this to give it to the captain, and since you are the captain for now, she just slides over the pad with the report.
So, is this affecting your abilities adversely?
As of right
But
now, no. I'm still I'm still completely capable and I feel fine. But with how little we know of what's happening, that does have a non-zero possibility of completely changing. It could affect others. I could just drop into a coma. But I would rather be working than just waiting in my quarters for something to happen, which may never happen.
Understood. Uh, well, unless there's something in here that the doctor didn't, that the doctor says, I'm not going to be asking you to do anything differently under the circumstances. But I appreciate you letting me know. And obviously, Jill, I mean, if there's anything that I can do, I mean, I need you. There's no way around that with Nira currently under the knife and post-op. Uh, I'm going to need you by my side, but I don't think that we were ever intending to uh, lean on your Betazoid half for the purpose of first contact. So I need you by my side, capable of doing what you do best.
She nods, and I understand, and I appreciate that. And she completely changes uh, the topic around. Do snakes mean anything to you?
Snakes. I
uh,
mean,
and 45 seconds later, Dagan comes back and drops off the food just after the question's asked, and as he does, he says, "There you go. Hope you like it. Well, my first time making it, but I followed the recipe exactly."
Oh, I'm
So,
sure you did just fine. Well, if there's anything I can give you pointers.
Oh, I can't wait, he says as he rushes back to the galley.
uh, sorry, snakes. I mean, I don't think I've ever actually seen one. I mean, I live mostly on a star base, and they don't like. I mean, I've seen one in a picture book, but yeah, no, I. It doesn't. It doesn't have specific significance. Uh,
It may have been nothing. It may be something, but when I when I had my incident, and she's picking at her plate, just stabbing different pieces, not even taking a bite just yet. I had I had a I don't want to call it a vision. That seems a little too on point with everything that we've just been speaking about earlier. But maybe it's a hallucination. She shrugs. But three things were clearly there: me, you, and she points at Desesh, and three snakes. two of them twined together, it reminded me much of the, well, she'll point back to the medical logo that's more than likely emblazoned throughout the ship. The two snakes swirled around in the medical
Yeah,
symbol.
Lucius, I believe, right?
I think, isn't it like the Hippocrates staff or some shit? Some kind of
Yes.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, much like that, and then a third one in the middle of them. And just as I was starting to make sense of it, it was over and I woke up.
So you passed out on like in the like this wasn't in bed or
No, it was in the the xenozoology lab. I was showing Dasan the facility and when it happened, and she'll raise up a hand before he pipes up and goes, Duncan helped me to see the doctor. And that
Okay,
is, she nods. And
he waves the data pad. Yeah, you saw the doctor.
yes, but that is all I know for now. And like I said, if I was in your place and I wasn't told, it it could be potentially damaging.
Well, I appreciate your candor. If the context of the whole snake thing, I don't think that came from me. As I don't think that particular imagery. I mean, I don't know why I would appear in this context for you, but I don't think that the snakes are something that was meant to be significant. I don't think you got it from me.
No, me neither. It could be nothing, it could be something. The question was at least worth asking. And why was it just you? Why wasn't anybody else in there? I don't know.
Well, I appreciate you letting me know, and well, I guess we just have to proceed with care and concern, uh, and you'll let me know if this changes anything.
She nods. I'm also under orders to let Vanderveer know if anything is different as well.
I suspect that's in here.
Oh yeah.
Well, I suppose I will have to eat and read slightly, and then we can go over this. At that point, we can probably segue to a different scene.
Indeed, I'm actually gonna bring us about a couple hours later, and I'm gonna, hey, you know what? I have the opportunity, so I'm gonna, and it is a day in the life, so I will bring us to Commander Arif, who happens to be in the turbo lift, heading down to sickbay when the lift doors, lift doors open up, and Hagen comes into the lift. And after a couple moments of silence and the lift starting again, the two men look at each other and you hear Dagan, Arif, and a couple moments later the lift stops and the doors open up once again to admit Dr. Vanderveer.
Gentlemen,
Doctor, you hear in unison from the same voice?
I'm sure that's not weird.
No, this is exactly how I pictured the turbo lift ride going. This is perfect.
medical bay.
Sick bay for me, Arif says. I'm gonna go check on Nira.
Not
And,
you. I'm talking to the turbo lift.
Oh, of course. And as the lift continues, a couple minutes later, it stops again, affording both you and Arif the chance to get out, leaving Dagon by himself. And still following Arif, Hill will head straight to Nira's room where uh oop, Doctor's not there, and I'm on the GM layer, so that doesn't help things.
No,
Uh
normally.
where you Kasara is sleeping finally, curled up on the couch. And I'd say that you're awake and conscious as you see Arif walk in.
Yep. She's just kind of in bed, looking around because there's not much else she can do. She's probably got entertainment going, like an old movie or something. One of her aunt. She's watching her aunt's old show.
That's fair. And pulling up a chair to the side of the bed, Arif um, says kind of softly, Nira, how are you? Are you feeling any better?
A little. I have certainly felt better.
Well, that is certainly understandable. Um, and as he looks over at Kasara, he says, uh, "Listen, Nira, I know you and I are not on the best of terms right now, but I can't believe you didn't tell me you were going to have the major operation."
Well, to be fair, it kind of, well, one, been a bit busy. Two, I outrank you. Three, I didn't even know about it until, I don't know, less than a week ago. No, it was, yeah, like less than a week ago.
Um, just kind of shrugging a little bit, he says, "Kasara knew. She was smart enough to tell me."
Yes, well, unlike you, I spent 18 hours in labor with Kasara. So she does have a little bit of a right to know.
Well, I've spent far more than 18 hours uh, in labor for her, and I think you know that.
It's not even the same thing, Arif. Not even a little.
Um, Sighing.
You try popping a watermelon out of a hole the size of a corn cob.
Uh, both wisely due to his many years, choosing to skip over that remark. He leans in a little bit and he says, "Listen, even with us being slightly on the outs, moving forward, I need to know that I can count on you."
Oh, what exactly?
Dying a little bit, he says, "Have you had the I well, I as you probably know, one, I'm not the Admiralty's favorite right now. Certainly not after this Omega bullshit. And two, uh, well, I might have gotten wind of some of the Admiralty, well, quite frankly, doing something bad. And we've been here before, and we've stopped this before, and I need to know if I can count on you like I used to be able to."
She looks around. She says, "You do know my first officer's a lawyer, right?"
And do you, kind of skipping over that, he kind of continues as he says, "Do you have you had occasion to meet one of my security officers, Garibaldi?"
No, don't believe I have. I did meet that pretty little blonde that you call an XO, though.
Laughing a little bit, he says, "Oh, Vogel. Yeah. She's got a good head on her shoulders. She was a scientist, but I think she's quite frankly gonna do pretty well in command. When I eventually leave 17, I think she'll make a pretty good replacement."
Well, just as long as you can remember you're old enough to be the progenitor of her species.
Uh, Arif just laughs at that and says, "Oh, come on, Nira. Me, humans, they they
Yes,
they die so young, unfortunately."
yes, that was a my family thing. I know.
Uh-huh. But anyways, to the point, Garibaldi has discovered something um, having to do with the exploitation of children, and well, he's getting uh, the cold shoulder from the higher ups. So we're going to proceed carefully. But there appears to be some sort of cloning aspect, so I figured this ship, and especially with your expertise, should probably, well, be read in.
She hmm. She doesn't nod because she can't at the moment. Uh, very well. When am I supposed to meet as Garibaldi?
Oh, I don't know yet. At the moment, where we're at is he's looking for more information. I and I'll be here for a week, so I can tell you for sure that at least until you're better, I don't have to care about this.
Well, you're going to have to look. I can't devote all my time to this as much as I would like to. Uh,
I don't think you should devote any of your time to this. Quite frankly, first things first, you should devote all your time to getting better, and then once you are, uh,
yes, but I'm the one with favors from admirals.
you think I don't have favor? favors from admirals? I've been around a lot longer than you, Tuts.
Yes, but you never played nice with any of them.
Are you kidding me? Let's not forget who the pleasant person is in this room.
Yes, I know. I'm currently bedridden. I'm sorry for that.
Choosing not to get this, choosing not to engage with the sick patient, Arif simply goes back to rocking his chair and watching said movie that is on.
Yeah, she's watching The Walking Dead.
Oh, great. So Arif will begrudgingly look entertained, even though Nira knows that this kind of drivel is not his fancy.
Well, her aunt's in it, so of course she's gonna watch it.
Not his fancy. Um, and yeah, Doctor, you definitely managed to eavesdrop on all of that.
Yeah, eventually it'll get to the point where every time they kill a zombie, she's just like this. It's just not physically possible. The skull would fall this way, and she just starts medically dissecting The Walking Dead.
And unless anyone has any objections, I think I'm gonna fast forward us to a new day.
Dude,
What's up?
Vanderveer's gonna storm in.
Uh-oh. As Vanderveer storms in.
Towards a
happens?
reef, he gets a finger very close to the face.
Oh dear.
Now you listen here. I get that you guys do have a personal relationship, but there's nothing official on the books that gives me any obligation to inform you about anything. That's up to her. And he points to the captain. I don't care who came out of what. And he points to the daughter.
What?
Her choice.
The doc-
Who she wants to know about what happens. Otherwise, I'd have to. How old is she? Do you want me to go through a whole list of people that she knows and to tell them whenever she has any sort of procedure done? No, that's ridiculous.
Reef looks incredibly confused. Doctor?
This is a patient's room for a patient in recovery, and you guys are talking about Starfleet politics. Now he's going after both the captain and him. Next time you want to talk about pulling a favor in with an admiral, have him come see me. I'll put a swinging door in on the entrance here so there's something to hit him on the ass on the way out. And then he storms out.
Wait, Doctor. Arif calls.
Turning around, much calmer. Yes?
Doctor, I'm gonna be here for a week. I'd love to go fishing with you if you have the time. You seem wonderful.
You know, if this first contact system goes well with these whatever they are on that planet, and if any of the flora and the fauna are anything alike, it should be smelt dipping season by the time we get some free time.
Excellent. Then perhaps it can be a
You ever had smelt?
no. I actually probably.
Oh, they're wonderful. You'll love them.
If you're gonna talk about the outdoors, please, somewhere elsewhere.
Why, it's better than this. He'll say, pointing at The Walking Dead. I don't care if Mina was in it.
Don't you start. Out with you.
Arif will settle back into the chair.
Oh, I love retro classics.
Yes, actually, my aunt, she says, and she points to Maggie. She was going by a different name at the time. But she's actually in a lot of these. It's actually really good. Although you're gonna watch here, actually, and she'll turn to the part where it's they're all lined up. Basically, it's the death of Abraham and Glenn. And she'll look and she'll say, now watch this swing. With this swing, these injuries, it should not exist like that. Much less him goggling anything out.
A reflux
Oh.
board.
What the hell they got going on with the orbital?
Exactly. It's not right.
There's not even a muscle there to hang.
Oh god. And as the two doctors, the sleeping Kasara and the bored Arif, but grudgingly sitting in the chair, um, plop down to apparently have a marathon of The Walking Dead.
Medical edition.
Medical edition, yeah. I think I'm gonna bring us over to the crisp beginning of Alpha Shift the next morning.
That's his way of saying y'all done talked about too much shit I don't like.
Where we have the system Bahara.
Hmm. So at this
And
point, I do want to, before we get approach into the system itself, I would like to sort of again just get a quick confirmation. Like, are there ships in this system? What are there star bases? Like this is supposed to be a post warp civilization, right? So like, what kind of infrastructure does this planet have?
well, you're definitely closer this time around, so why not why don't we get another control science out of you guys? Or I'll also, yeah, control science. For momentum purposes, I'm going to put the difficulty at 1, but if you get um, if you get above 3, I will cover both the tech and the people.
Can I assist with just sort of my sort of uh, command
Sure.
abilities? Or
Well, yeah, I think a presence command assist would definitely fit the bill for this.
all right,
His sheer giddiness.
That is fair. So that would make the difficulties, but it also adds a it brings the comp range to 2, correct?
Nope.
Oh, really?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So that would bring the difficulty to 1. I mean, 0.
oh sweet.
So we already have 2 momentum before the roll. Unless, all right, 5 so we have 5 bonus momentum. I'm gonna get to the results. As you scan, as you scan the system, you do get a couple. There's appears to be maybe 20 or 30 what appear to be warp capable ships. They're all in a state of powered down at the moment. However, they're on the planet, the third planet itself, a planet shared with about uh, 300 million. All reading is Bajoran. And as to things like satellites and whatnot, um, outside of a few very basic communication satellites kind of peppered throughout the system itself. There's really nothing. It seems very calm.
That's they're all Bajoran. That means that either the Bajoran showed up here and there were no humans, or something really troubling.
Oh, material composition is standard for Bajoran. Uh, Yes, and we still have 5 bonus momentum before I forget that too. Um, there's uh, there eh, there does appear to be traces of the metal compounds that are native to Bajor, but they are almost non-existent compared to the exceedingly abundance of metal compounds that are common in Earth. Um, like
Uh,
very trace amounts.
I would like to use one of our additional questions to get a sense of whether there is any trace of human development on this planet that would coincide with, like, in a similar fashion to the Centurions or whatever.
No,
So they showed up and there wasn't humanity here. Is kind
there was no record of human DNA in the
of okay.
scans.
All right, so no satellites, no monoliths, no or like Stonehenge or whatever.
No, nothing like that. There's no pyramids, none of that.
That's a relief. Okay. Uh, yeah, I guess now that we're on their sensor grid, though, I am going to start. I'm going to ask Jill. Can we get a sense of any like broadcasts that are occurring? Get a sense of their electronic communications.
I'll use another momentum if sensors can pick up any broadcasts that we can filter through.
There are absolutely no electronic broadcasts going on of any kind at this moment.
Fascinating.
Well, since we're still using bonus momentum, are there any sensor scans coming out in our direction?
No, there are not.
Wow. Take us to a geosynchronous orbit, but keep us outside of line of sight, at least um of the planet itself.
So
Make it so
park
we
us
can
behind the
see
moon.
with the naked eye, basically.
So park us behind the moon.
Yeah, something like that.
I think that's a relatively easy maneuver as Deers manages to guide the ship in pretty swiftly and ably. And I will note that as she does, there is still um, no indication of you guys being scanned. There's no indication of anything.
I was kind of
Transmission,
expecting
whatnot.
that there would be more uh, like infrastructure in place for this because I don't know how we would we weren't given like an introduction or anything to whatever would be the powers that be for this planet, right? So we are going to have to suss out who we're supposed to talk to, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right. Can you um try to identify just from the sort of buildup of like just central place theory, what would be the most active or central governmental structure or most built up urban center on the planet?
Um, that's
Yeah, and look for
uh,
the biggest city with the biggest buildings.
I
Yeah.
think I can pretty much I think I can easily do this with the scans that you guys have already taken and just to make my life a little easier, I am gonna base them in North America, specifically United States because that's what I know the most about geographically.
You
They
and your American exceptionalism, I understand.
Well, we're about to get real specific, where most of the population, it doesn't appear to be very spread out planet-wise. There are definitely a couple outliers, but most of the civilization is pretty much clustered around what would in real Earth be the Massachusetts, New York region, the Northeast.
Here's a question: is it a mega sprawl that crosses over the entire area, or is it multiple independent uh, pieces of infrastructure in that area? Like,
Very
is it
little.
multiple cities or one big city?
Uh, city is a very strong word here. Looking at the infrastructure itself, it almost looks more village and farming based. Um, so aren't really any skyscrapers or anything like that. Um, Huts and houses, I'd say, are probably the norm here,
This
and
would
uh, it's uh, I will say those ships are all kind of parked along the coastline. You can scan those too.
Right, but they're powered down.
Powered down, yeah.
so this civilization is kind of giving me kind of a Baku kind of vibe here, where they have technology but seem to not be exercising it on a regular basis. Like they've got all their ships just sort of sitting on the ground, kind of thing, right now.
I was actually thinking the same thing, and I was going to ask for to make a roll to come to that conclusion.
I um I to be honest, I don't think you need the roll to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I think I yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
hmm
I think inherently that's something certainly someone of your experience could certainly get to.
So just to clarify, like from a Starfleet protocol sense, this doesn't change the fact that they are post-warp, at least for the purpose of first contact, right? Like
They have
I
warp
can,
capable ships parked like miles away from them.
yeah.
You are
So like,
proactively cleared.
all right. So have we been able to identify a governmental center of some kind?
There's certainly active communication satellites and communications equipment uh, on the in the system. There is, I'm not. There is probably a centralized communications area. I'm just not 100% sure. Um, I am not 100% sure uh, what uh, I'm not 100% sure what is sorry, I completely lost my train of thought there. Let me start again. There is an identifiable like kind of communications hub thing.
Okay. Um, it seems to me like I would like to tap into that communication system and uh, like I assume we have a standard first contact protocol that would involve communicating directly with the head of state. I think that's what happened in the episodes that I've seen, right? So like
Yeah. The first contact package or something of that ilk.
Yes.
when it's when it's one identifiable. Otherwise, there's also reaching out and just broadcasting the interstellar greeting on all the channels.
Well, I don't want to. I want to do like I don't want to do like a world-changing broadcast type thing. I get the impression that, like, based on the evidence of episodes, that you either contact the head of state or, because it's more dramatic, just beam down to the planet, because drama. But in this instance, I would like to maybe like indicate just sort of warn them that we're coming, so to speak, with a sort of standard universal message, and then I'm going to get an away team together because drama.
Um, well, as you send that communications package out, um, a couple moments later, you get a reply, and well, it's its own little communications package as it's audio only, and you hear uh, greetings, friend. If you're hearing this message, then you've chosen to visit us while we're observing our National Week of Forgiveness. There'll be no one here to greet you specifically, but that doesn't mean you're not welcome. And please feel free to uh, join our celebration and, um, well, perhaps experience the will of the prophets yourself.
Oh, and like Desesh is like going through his like religious upbringing. Like, this is a thing that I might know, right? The forgiveness festival that
Uh,
came up in DS9, didn't it?
I don't believe so. I didn't intend for it to be something that is of Bajor, so if that is, I would change the name of it. However, it is not a religious custom that is inherently known to you.
Okay, all right. I'm wondering if I'm actually remembering. Okay, but it sounds like they've got some sort of religious festival holiday that is why everything is grounded at the moment. So that's interesting, but it means that we're going to have to directly beam down, I guess. You said forgiveness? I'm thinking of the gratitude festival. That's what I'm thinking of. Ah,
Okay.
that's apparently a Bajoran thing.
Well,
Okay, sorry.
they they seem to have the technology. It may be less of an impact if we arrive by a shuttlecraft, but either way, transport or shuttle, it'll be we'll need to find an appropriate place to arrive. You don't want to end up arriving on someone's an important area by accident.
I think a beam in is more subtle under the circumstances. Uh, I don't want to have the complexity of a rapid exfiltration, having to worry about dropping technology on their planet. I think we can find a discreet place to beam down.
Understood. And Jill will actually try to find an appropriate place that seems to be out of the way and not important to anything religious.
Um, well, uh, there appears to be, outside of the communications thing, there does appear to be, you know what? Make me an insight command or insight, I guess, science difficulty one.
Interstellar cultures is a focus.
Yeah.
Well, ship's assisting, so let me roll that.
Yes. Let us. Actually, let's have Disesh
Actually,
assist
kind of-
before the ship.
Okay. I'll
Uh,
I'm gonna ask if logistics, knowing something about urban planning and central place theory, might be able to be applicable. And
No,
I'm
Bajoran would.
okay. Yeah,
So
I can use.
you inherently have a focus.
All right. So, and what was this insight command you said?
Uh, yes, but for you, you know what? I'm gonna stick with insight. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, the
Okay
dice
then.
are speaking. The dice are speaking. The prophets have spoken. All right.
Um,
So
let's
now the
see.
ship.
There's still a ship. Hold on a second. I got it. Hold on.
Gonna have to figure out how to. Alrighty. As
And with that, I can reroll one of my dice. That's why I asked about the ship.
Oh, thank God. Oh, goody. So you guys do have a bonus momentum. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to completely ignore the ship's help and say that the ship just managed to give you a bit of a clearer picture now that you're even closer. Um, but you realize that outside of the people that are generally in their homes or what appears to be a small commerce area, I guess if there was a bulk of people, they would be around a centralized building, um, which knowing, even though this isn't of Bajor, these are Bajorans, just kind of going off the theory that Bajorans are Bajorans, it is probably a religious place. However, there's a number of like alleys or whatnot nearby it that are close enough to it that it wouldn't be much of a walk, or and you wouldn't be directly observed beaming in.
Mhm. Although we're not like demonstrating our beaming technology like too overtly, we are going down in full uniform and not trying to conceal ourselves as we have been invited. So,
No, that's fair.
mhm. uh,
Um, but so who's going? I know Desesh is going.
yeah, I'm bringing my command staff, and then maybe two security officers.
That is that is certainly fair. And do we have a preference on security, or should I just grab a random two?
No preference. So I may actually also, because I do know that we have another Bajoran crew member, bring along one of our engineers. Uh,
Uh,
they happen to be available.
Jaro it shall be.
I'll
Um,
get to looking for her before. Yeah.
and oh, good old Molly Rogers. Um, we'll throw her down too as the and Vanderveer is there too, and Akiri as the six of you beam down. And give me 2 seconds, and I will uh reveal that area. You can see that it is a bit of an, I guess, alleyway, for lack of a better word. And as you peer your head around, you can see what appears to be a just a number of, well, Bajorans milling about.
All right. I'm. We just sort of. I approach whoever it seems like it would be most politic to approach under the circumstances. Someone older, maybe someone that would likely perceive us as like I try to step away from the group so we don't look so obviously threatening, and just sort of use my best sort of ancient Bajoran dialect, and just say, "Excuse me, uh, would you be able to direct me to someone in authority here?"
Um, looking, uh, are you, first question, are you wearing your earring?
Yes.
Um, looking up at you and, first looking a little curious about your clothes, but then, um, looking up at your face and fixating on the earring, um, that is, well, affixed to your right ear. Uh, and you notice that his is on the left. He looks to you and says, our Kai is just in there. And he, are you from a different continent?
Different world, actually. Yeah, thank you very much. We will. Are there any protocols that are expected in approaching the temple?
Don't, uh, simply walk with good intentions,
Excellent.
stranger.
Thank you so much. Peace be with you.
Uh, looking a little confused at the statement, um, he just kind of wanders off, once again giving your earring a curious look. And as you look around, you can see that it looks like everyone's wearing their earring on their left ear.
Now, uh, just to clarify, uh, there there are different sort of canons regarding the significance of the Bajoran earring being on the wrong ear. Most of them that have been uh, or the other ear, shall we say. A lot of them around the fact that when Ensign Rowe was initially brought on, she wore it on the different ear, but then was common in DS9 canon. I'm wondering to what extent, like, any of that is relevant to what is going on here or whatnot. Before I start speculating wildly.
Um, so I will say that it is the opposite of what is generally considered the Bajoran practice.
Yeah, I think
Um,
even Jar deserves the same ears to Sash for our.
for your Bajor, I guess, and I don't want to make sweeping claims for fashion statement, but religious wise, I think the right ear is the correct one for them.
My understanding of the significance of the ear has to do with the ability to access the paw that that the that Vedics normally use their what is it, their left hand to access. So which is why the earring is generally on the other side, but because that's what Vedics do to. So it's. Uh, so that's all I know about it. So I don't know if that's still relevant, but it might just be a difference in custom.
Yeah, I would say the relevancy is that it's the opposite of yours.
Yeah, I just don't like the transmission mentioned. I just don't want to walk in there and find that the paw wraiths rule here or something. or if I could have potentially predicted that. So, so I just want to make sure that there isn't anything that is triggering me to that particular conclusion.
Um, I wouldn't think so. Certainly not as of yet.
Yeah, this doesn't scream Satanist, is what I'm basically getting at. These aren't upside down crosses or anything.
No, 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 no.
Making sure. Okay, let's go talk to Akai.
Okay. And as the lot of you kind of approach this temple, uh let me drag you guys up a little bit. Um you can see a large number of curious looks in well, certainly the group of non-Bajoran. However, Jara and Desesh get their own now and then curious looks, both because of their attire and because of their well, earring placement. And though your though your journey does not uh, become molested in any way, you guys make it to the temple, where you can see a number of people kind of just gathering, and they all seem to be pretty centralized around one person who's simply standing with the others and what looks to be just a very amiable conversation, almost like you were joshing with your friends or something.
Do they have the Kai Pope hat?
I'm sorry?
Do they have the hat? The Kai hat?
No, they don't actually. Actually, everyone's pretty dressed pretty plainly. And well, really, the only real indication that that person is the Kai is kind of the formation of the actual people and the reverence in some of their gazes.
As we've come in and we've seen a few more Bajorans at this point, do their Dajapa, their earrings, do they have the telltale markings of the caste system? Like, can I look at them and say like warrior, priest, like that would have
You,
traditionally been.
you actually can't because they're all, from what you can tell, pretty uniform. There doesn't seem to be any real flair or division among any that you've seen so far, including the Kais.
Mine says warrior for the record if it becomes relevant.
Excellent.
Uh, the I so we enter and then I think we sort of like stop at the sort of threshold and allow sort of the mechanism of whatever the appropriate circumstance. I'm assuming that there will be someone else other than the Kai that will approach us so that we can identify ourselves.
Um, as I just see it as like the six of you all kind of spread out into the archway, your silhouettes kind of blocking the light. Um, after a couple moments, you see a couple points and looks, and um, the the man in the center, he he walks up to all of you and uh, taking special notice of Desesh, uh, almost as if he's unsure to speak to, so he's speaking to all of you. You can tell that his gaze widens over all of you as he says, um, "I believe I certainly would have remembered these these clothing or uniforms, and I don't. So, uh, hello. It's it's a pleasure to meet you. He says,
Oh,
his gaze kind of ending at Desesh, looking curiously.
it is an honor, Kai. I am Captain Desesharaj of the Federation starship Nightingale. We are here on behalf of the United Federation of Planets, here to identify ourselves to your people in the interests of communication and peace.
And uh looking at you, he says, well, I know that we go off planet occasionally. However, I was unaware that any of our people, uh, um, I was unaware that any of our people had. I'm trying to think of a nicer word for defected, um, because he doesn't mean any
Wandered,
say
euphemistically.
Wandered.
wandered. Yeah, I was unaware that any of our people had wandered to a different organization. You must have stories to tell. What province are you from?
Uh, it is perhaps more complicated than that. Uh, I am not of your people. It is possible, though, that you are of mine. Uh, it is a conversation that we will have to get into. Uh, I am of Bajor. I am uh, of like I give the Bajoran, like I give the location of the sort of Bajoran system. Uh,
Um, uh, Almost as the Kai kind of takes all of this in, he looks over to you and to Jara, uh, and he says, "Then, um, if you've never set foot here, then the both of you must follow me immediately. Uh, uh, the the rest of you may of course come, but please, you're under no obligation."
we'll go with them.
Yeah,
I
at
do.
least Jill will follow.
Like, oh, okay, sure.
Is this concern medical in nature, or is this
Um,
a cultural practice?
One way to find out, as the bulk of you follow him a little
Well,
bit
that's the
deeper
question I
into.
was asking the Kai.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was it?
Is this concern medical in nature, or is this cultural practice? I'm just sort of like trying to ascertain, like as I'm walking, like obliging along with him. I just ask him, like, "What's this about?"
Called cultural, religious,
Oh,
medical,
by all means.
everything.
Oh, and to answer your question, I'm from the Hedrix full province in Bajor. Yeah, that's
Uh, I apologize. I've never heard of it. He says as he leads you guys a little bit deeper in until uh, it
We will
becomes.
definitely have a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah. Until it becomes relatively clear that you guys are being led into the inner sanctum of this area, especially when you end up actually taking what appears to be rather intricate compared to everything else. Carved stairway down into not a very steep climb down, maybe uh 20 or 30 feet, but as you get to the bottom, it appears to be a pretty massive subterranean room. There's no one in it at the moment, and it is, well, pretty empty, save one item in the center, which is a wooden ark.
I'm just going to make eye contact with Lawson just as we start to head underground and just sort of, okay, say, keep an eye on our lock status. I just want to make sure that we still have a transporter lock down here.
Um, I think Lawson's Discord is messing up at the moment. Let me try to. Did that help at all?
No.
It did not. I don't
Hello.
think I can actually kick you.
Oh, are you good now?
If you can hear me, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you heard it or not, but um, as they were being let out, Jill just commented that uh, seems like there is much we need to talk about
To me, she said that.
to the group, more or less, especially to the Kai.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. And to which the Kai said, of course, for sure. Um, however, first things are first, essentially.
Is this obviously like
It's
going
not
into
act.
a sorry?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is this an orb? They have sort of a uniform external shell generally. Like this arc, is this an orb?
It bears resemblance, however, it is closed.
Nonetheless, like that is going to rattle the sesh a little bit because, of course, of the religious significance of this. He's never seen one of the Tears of the Prophets, and didn't really expect to in his lifetime. Uh,
Uh,
so, like that does throw him off a little bit.
oh, seeing his first time jitters, as it were, will just come up and like softly put her hand on his shoulder, like it'll be okay. It gets kind of like it gets easier.
Yeah. So that hesitation does occur, but he does like try put a brave face on it and enter into the room.
Yeah, she's like it's only weird for the first. Oh, who am I kidding? It'll be okay though.
Like
Um,
this is like racing through his mind because there were only 9 of these things and they were accounted for. So this is potentially, like, to the best of my knowledge, unless this came from Cardassia, a new orb.
all of the above, potentially.
Yeah.
Uh, and well, quite frankly, you are going to, you're going to see that, yourself as, as the Kai looks to you and motions towards the arc in the center and says, "Please."
I look. What it was Mara? Was it? What was
Jaro.
Jara? He looks. He looks to
Jaro.
Jaro. He looks to Jaro, but then like his sort of like Sunday school level understanding of Bajoran custom, kind of like he starts figuring out what the procedure is in his own head for how to approach one of the orbs. I think that there were things that I saw Kira do at one point, so I will be trying to like. Uh, he does his best to ape whatever it is a respectful means uh, of fulfilling the Kai's expectations here, because he doesn't think of the orbs as being dangerous, so he's just willing to do this. Whoa.
If it makes it easier, Jaro will begin her own preparations for Desesh to follow.
Yeah, he does appreciate that. Although, did I just get sucked into the orb? Like, what just happened there?
You didn't exactly. However, as you do, kind of walk up to the orb and make your preparations. I did assume you were opening the arc.
I did. Yes.
Okay. Um, in which case, as you do, to everyone else, you can see well, no one can kind of see the actual inside of the arc because Disesh's head is blocking it, but you can see the door kind of swing open. Um, and as for Disesh, uh, you can see some things that are a little bit different. And if you don't mind, I need 1 second to take a drink because I have to talk a lot. Okay. Um, Disesh, as you open the arc and the interior sight fills your eyes, uh, the room around you, it doesn't evaporate, but rather it's simply gone in less time than it takes for that fact to register. Everything that was is now different. Gone is the orb, and uh, in uh, in the vacant room is simply a collection of snakes. Two snakes coiled, part suddenly as a third rises up, forcing the pair to twist around the addition. Slowly, a braid is created as the three snakes turn to peer at you. For each, their eyes grow larger and they expand to meet. Now faced with three eyes, in unison, tongues lash out unforked. Suddenly, Jill stands beside you, her eyes flashing a brilliant red. The picture swirls and blossoms into an explosion, and from where there was something, suddenly there's now nothing. Not even pitch black could absorb this magnitude, and suddenly, from where there was nothing, there's now everything. A soundless boom washes over you, and your entire body is bathed with every color of light imaginable. From there, everything peels away, rushing through you but leaving no mark. Swirls of different energy colliding with each other, blossoming new types, and with each new type, a new color springs into being. Clouds of matter crashing into one another, spawning new elements, and with these, deeper hues and shadows. Fractalized colors slip away into more shadows, and they leave forever from your field of view. As you stand, wedged inside the kaleidoscope of creation, everything slowly starts to dim. You feel yourself being pulled gently, but quickly, into the now available space. Long moments go by, and as you tilt your head back, the endless light show has coalesced into one simple star. Turning back once more, You can see a planet in the distance rising towards you, and from what you can see, the planet is made of pure crystal. Gems of all colors spring forth, creating an endless variation of color once more, and as it swells to engulf you, no atmosphere is felt, yet your breathing is completely unhindered. As you arrive on the surface, bathed in wondrous rainbow light, Jill stands, wearing the robes of a Vedic, and grasping nothing but her own hands, she smiles. That was the true beginning. Do you understand? She asks. And suddenly you find yourself once again ascending into space, and after a few moments, the beautiful maw of the wormhole that you know so well opens in front of you. Determined, you swim into it. Passage through the tunnel seems to be taking too long, so willfully swimming faster, the light waves on the side of the tunnel begin to shift from blue to red. The speed increases as all the blue gives way to the end, and as the speed reaches on, Araj bursts through the red into an area of pure violet. The area is not space as it bubbles and contorts, and it becomes more dense and pressure can be felt. The moment the squeeze becomes unbearable, you wake up with nothing but a dull red orb and silence, interrupted by the beat of your own heart.
Oh. They were